Wasn't sure if I should do my annual pre-Eicma gossip and rumours video this year, as more and more manufacturers seem to be using YouTube and Instagram to reveal their bikes ahead of the show to steal the limelight and, I imagine, save a few €100,000 along the way. But hoping that there haven't already been too many official reveals by the time you watch this, here are 20 or so of my top European and Japanese bikes that I think we'll be seeing in 2026. Plus one at the end that I will definitely buy if it does make it to production. Starting with BMW and their eagerly anticipated 450 GS. Replacing the G310 GS, the 450 signals BMW's push into the increasingly competitive 4 to 450cc class. I suppose the big question is which model will hit the showrooms first. The rugged prototype displayed at Eicma 2024, complete with long travel suspension, upside down forks, a direct mounted rear shock on an aluminium swing arm, rally styling, spoked wheels, 19-inch front, 17-inch rear, and knobbly tyres? Or will it be the slightly toned down version sighted in India, featuring shorter suspension, cast wheels, and road biased rubber? At the course, it's a 450cc parallel twin producing around 48 horsepower with an optional semi-automatic gearbox. You get cornering ABS, a 6.5-inch TFT screen, and selectable riding modes. It's not going to be cheap though. Looking for something a bit beefier? How about the R20? Now, BMW didn't just unveil the R20 concept at the Villa d'Este de Concours in June 2024. It also filed the R20 trademark in both Europe and the US, and BMW Motorrad boss Markus Flasch has publicly admitted that this monster roadster is headed for production. Think of it as a pumped-up 9T built around the mighty big boxer from the R18, a 2000cc twin with shed loads of torque. The styling is brutal. The chassis stripped back, you get Öhlins suspension, 17-inch wheels with a fat 6.25-inch disc-style rear rim, a 1550mm wheelbase, and a relaxed 62.5-degree rake. This could be a heavyweight rival to the Ducati Diavel, or more likely the Triumph Rocket. Something sportier perhaps, how about an F900RR? Middleweight sports bikes like the GSX-R, Daytona 660 and Yamaha R7 may look aggressive with clip-ons, fairings and even wings, but they're really road-oriented machines rather than pure supersports. Still, their growing popularity, especially among younger A2 licensed riders, shows a clear market trend. BMW could easily join the party with an F900RR, spun off its proven but slightly bland-feeling 895cc twin. Using the F900R's steel trellis frame, fully adjustable 43mm fork, Brembo brakes and 105 horsepower twin, it could offer decent performance without overwhelming newcomers. Add sharp styling inspired by the XR and a competitive price of around €12,500 before options, and BMW would have a credible, accessible sports bike. BSA is bringing the legendary Bantam name back for 2026 in the shape of a modern 350 Roadster. Powered by a 334cc liquid-cooled single producing around 29 horsepower, it blends classic styling with present-day engineering. With an 800mm seat height, 185 kilos ready to ride, and a 13-litre tank, it's light, accessible, practical and affordable. Suspension is straightforward, telescopic forks with 135mm of travel and twin shocks at the rear. Discs front and back with dual-channel ABS, cast alloy wheels, an 18-inch front, 17-inch rear. The Bantam is a budget-friendly retro-style commuter priced to take on the likes of the very popular Honda GB350S. Ducati has sharpened its Diavel that I reviewed just a couple of weeks ago with a new RS version. Power has been upped to 182 horsepower and 126 Nm of torque, which is really what I was hoping for because the 168 horsepower of the standard model feels absolutely pathetic. Weight has come down to 220 kilos without fuel. You get Öhlins suspension, lighter forged wheels, and a titanium Akropovich exhaust. Brembo Stylema calipers on 330mm discs, a sleeker tail and a few carbon trinkets. yours for around 32,000 euros. But go wild with the options and it will easily be over 40,000. I noticed a fair bit of hate for the Diavel in the comments to my video, looks, price, quality of certain components, but I really enjoyed my long weekend with it. I think this new RS version looks absolutely stunning, and I'd definitely have it over the Triumph Rocket. The new Panigale V4R was officially unveiled a couple of days ago. Crazy spec, 220 horsepower for just 190 kilos wet and close to 50 grand. Yeah, it's very nice, but it's really track only, and honestly, who can afford that kind of money? So let's move on to the Monster V2 with its 890cc V2 engine. The Street Fighter V2 now makes a friendlier 120 horsepower, feels lighter and easier to ride, and comes in at around 15,000, which beggars the question as to the relevance of the Monster. The difference may boil down to style. The Street Fighter keeps it sharp, aggressive, while the Monster goes for curves and more sensuality. Expect roughly the same 120 horsepower, 185 kilos fully fueled, and a price tag in line with the Street Fighter. In short, Ducati is giving riders two flavours of the same recipe, one wild, one a little more welcoming. The Desert X is set to be Ducati's second 2026 model with a new 890cc V2, and the benefits look promising. The smoother, more flexible engine should suit trail riding like this perfectly, while also shaving weight, at least 6 kilos lighter than the old Testa Stretta, possibly more if Ducati switches to the aluminium monocoque frame. That could drop the Desert X from 226 to around 215 kilos fully fueled, which is a real advantage off-road. Many of us, myself included, have yet to jump on board the electric bike thing. You know, range, weight, price, weird manufacturers that you've never heard of. But the idea of more torque and less noise does appeal to me for urban and off-road riding like this. And when Honda weighed in, you kind of have to sit up and listen. The EV Fun concept was showcased at last year's Eicma and was revealed last week as the production-ready WN7. It features a fixed 18 kilowatt battery. That's around 24 horsepower in old money. Yes, 24, not 124, in a bike weighing 217 kilos. But at least you get fast charging, whatever that means, and a range of around 130 kilometers. Okay, price was rumoured to be between about 7,000 and 10,000 euros last year, which would have made it a tempting proposition. But Honda has now confirmed the price is going to be around 15,500 euros in Europe, £13,000 in the UK. That's going to be a very hard sell. Shall we move on? Probably of much more interest to most riders is the rumoured GB500S. Now the 350S has proven very popular this year thanks to good looks, decent build quality and a very attractive price point. However, it only pushes out 21 horsepower, which in my humble opinion just doesn't cut it on European roads, no matter what the owners are saying. I know you'll disagree, those of you that have this bike, and I did have high hopes, but when I rode it earlier this year, it was even slower than I knew it would be. So a bored out 500 version with say 40-45 horsepower could be spot on, if they can keep the price and the weight down. It would give the Triumph 400s and Enfield 350s a run for their money and offer a level of versatility that the little 350 has always struggled to deliver. Something that definitely would get my juices flowing is Honda's radical new V3 engine with electric supercharger. The trademark V3R suggests a future supersport contender, and it could succeed the aging CBR 600RR in their lineup. Competition is fierce though, with Ducati's Panigale V2 and Yamaha's R9. Power should be around 150 horsepower, which is okay, but it's the 150 newton meters of torque that's got everyone excited. I couldn't find any reliable images online. This is just a mock-up by a French motor magazine, but hopefully we'll see more at Eicma. Talking of excitement, there's a CB1000F coming. Think Hornet 1000 with a retro makeover. I still haven't been able to test ride the very popular Hornet, but from what I've seen and read, and at the risk of oversimplifying things, it's a great bike to ride, but let down maybe by some basic components like rubber brake hoses and mediocre paint finish, especially on the matte black SP version. I doubt these retro versions will get any mechanical changes over the Hornet, so you'll still probably have to fit braided hoses if that's your thing, but the paintwork does look better quality. I haven't seen anything about an SP version with the Öhlins suspension and Brembo brakes, but in terms of price, I think the base Hornet here in Portugal is 10,600, so with a bit of luck, the F could come in around 11,000. French magazine Moto Journal even thinks we could get a Sports Tourer variant. Almost certainly the same mechanicals and brakes, possibly a more compliant suspension tune, and why not the option of an E-clutch semi-automatic gearbox. Price would now be creeping up to around 14,000 euros though. Kawasaki is bringing back the KLE 500 20 years after it was retired, now with a 451cc producing 47.5 horsepower. The new model leans more heavily into off-road capability, featuring a long travel inverted fork, slim vertical bodywork and a 21-inch front wheel that clearly sets it apart from rivals like the Honda NX500 and the upcoming BMW 450 GS. While styling details are still under wraps, the bike is expected to combine rugged, dynamic looks with Kawasaki's reputation for reliability. This relaunch shows Kawasaki balancing its lineup, offering both high-tech niche machines and practical, well-priced entry-level models. With an established mechanical platform and a clear off-road focus, the KLE 500 is shaping up as a promising option for A2 riders. On to KTM, who finalised a major financial restructuring this year, cutting debt and returning to profitability following an €800 million investment from Bajaj Auto. So, at least for the sake of this video, let's be positive and assume these bikes will see the light of day next year. Beginning with the bike that probably appeals to me the most personally, the 1390 Super Adventure, back for 2026 after its cancelled launch in 2025. It packs the 1350cc engine from the Super Duke, delivering 173 horsepower and a very healthy 145 Nm of torque. The frame is stiffer, the riding position refined, and there's a nice big 8.8-inch vertical TFT display alongside upgraded WP brakes and suspension. Styling has been refreshed, and the Evo version brings an AMT gearbox and automatic clutch. For serious off-roaders, the R version adds a 21-inch front wheel and longer travel suspension. Tempting, but at that price, I'd still probably rather have a Multistrada V4. KTM's so-called Punisher, the replacement for the 890 Duke R, was meant to appear in 2025 but never made it to production because Austria's assembly lines were halted. With KTM back on its feet, the bike finally makes a return as a 2026 model year machine. And this time the Austrians seem to have learnt their lesson. Last year's Duke launched at nearly 15,000 euros, more expensive than rivals, yet with weaker equipment, and it fell flat. Now the standard version is listed at 12,949 euros, suggesting the R model should stay under that crucial 15,000 euro mark. For that money, you get serious upgrades: a new 947cc engine with 130 horsepower, a lighter chassis at just 179 kilos dry, stiffer and fully adjustable WP suspension, and a beefier 48mm fork and linkage mounted shock. Bigger discs with Brembo Stylema calipers and sticky Michelin Power Cup 2 tyres. Add in the 8-inch TFT touchscreen, refined ABS with Sport and Supermoto Plus modes, and reduced weight, and the 2026 Duke R should be a bit of a weapon on the road. Their long-awaited 990 RCR finally broke cover at Eicma 2024 a year ago. It inherits the 990cc twin from the Duke R, tuned to around 130 horsepower, and visually it evokes a mini MotoGP machine with winglets, sharp lines and premium components inspired by the track-only RC8C. Only this time it's homologated for the road. Speculative pricing places it around 15 to 17,500 euros, dry weight around 185 to 190 kilos. Full production, however, may be delayed as Bajaj seems to be pushing KTM towards cheaper, higher volume models, and I can't blame them for that. Need to bring the money in. Norton is looking to begin a new chapter with TVS backing, launching a fully homologated lineup. Among the first will be an all-new V4 superbike replacing the discontinued V4 SV. Unlike its UK-only predecessor, this bike will be Euro 5 Plus compliant and therefore globally sold from 2026. Spy shots reveal a modern design, ram air intake and underslung twin exhausts packed with catalyzers. Expect Brembo high pure brakes, manual suspension and possibly electronic options on later models. Price is difficult to evaluate. The outgoing model was nearly €50,000, so either this will be even more expensive with the added cost of homologation and inflation, or TVS will somehow manage to subsidize it to bring in at least a few more sales and increase, brand awareness. We'll see on November the 4th at Eicma. A lot more affordable and therefore a lot more popular will be Royal Enfield's Himalayan 750, which is set to be one of the stars of the show. 750cc twin derived from the current 650s by increasing bore and stroke. And unlike the current 450, it's getting a less off-road focused 19-inch front wheel and dual disc brakes. The styling is all new with a large round headlight that kind of reminds me of the Husqvarna Norton. Expect a bike that balances classic Royal Enfield ruggedness with modern mid-range specs. I just hope they can keep the weight down, because with just 55 horsepower, performance is going to be very much a secondary consideration. The logic of parts sharing means that we should also be seeing a Continental GT and probably an Interceptor in 750cc guise. Spotted during tests in India, the upgraded Continental GT is definitely coming. Beyond its bigger engine, it gets a fresher look, highlighted by a sleek half fairing, as seen in leaked test photos. Expect subtle styling tweaks that elevate its presence on the road. The new version promises the same classic cafe racer spirit, but now with a little bit more punch. All will be revealed in November. Oh, how about a Bollywood take on the classic 350? The Goan is set to arrive in limited numbers in 2026. Not sure it will be coming to all markets, but I've read that, for example, 150 units will be coming to France. Features include a solo 75cm high seat, LED round headlight, slash-cut exhaust, extra high handlebars, forward foot pegs, and a semi-analog dashboard. You only get 20 horsepower though. On to Suzuki and the GSX-8T and 8TT. Now these were launched a couple of weeks ago, so I'm guessing that if you are interested, you've already watched the reviews and read the specs. The big problem, as with all Suzukis these last couple of years, is the pricing. $10,900 for the T and $11,600 for the TT. Suzuki, nobody's going to buy them at that price. Only 83 horsepower, so-so brakes and slightly odd semi-retro styling. I think I'd rather try and hunt down a pre-registered Z900 RS. Probably of greater interest among bike fans is the return of the GSX-R 1000. No test rides as yet, but the stats look very promising. 192 horsepower, just over 200 kilos wet. Back in the European lineup to celebrate its 40th anniversary after being absent since Euro 5 came into force in 2020, the 2025-26 model keeps much of the original chassis, but has a revised engine, including a new crankshaft, pistons, camshafts and injectors, plus a reworked exhaust. Updated electronics modernise the ride, although there's no TFT display, while carbon aero appendages and 3 iconic colour schemes complete the classic superbike look. Available in dealerships just about now, October, November. It should be a good seller for the brand and I can't wait to try it. So on to Triumph. There'll be the new 400XC on display, of course, although true to form, Triumph have revealed this well ahead of Eicma, and I've already posted a walk-around review here, so check that out if you're interested. Based on the same platform, they should also be showing us the Thruxton 400, but again, it's an open secret because it's been on the Indian website for a while. 40 horsepower, 175 kilos, and a price that I expect around the €6,500 mark. For what it's worth, I'm not a huge fan. The 400 Speed and 400X are great little bikes, reliability issues aside, but having cancelled the big 1200 Thruxton last year, bringing the name back and sticking it on this, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, Triumph also looks set to launch a new Trident 800 built around the recent mid-size 3-cylinder engine in the Tiger Sport 800. The engine is the real strong point with plenty of torque. I was really impressed by the Tiger when I reviewed it a few months ago and liked the Trident 660 that I owned a few years ago. So this new Trident 800 sounds very promising. Apparently it will see the slow-selling Speed Triple 765R deleted from the lineup, although apparently the RS will be staying. It will slot in above the Trident 660, of course, to face rivals like the Yamaha XSR 900, Ducati Monster V2, and why not the Husqvarna Vitpillen 801. The next one is more of a personal plea than a prediction. Dear Triumph, I really like the Sport 800 you gave us this year, so how about doing the same with the engine from the Speed Triple in a reworked Tiger 1200 chassis to give us a competitor to the likes of the Multistrada V4 and KTM 1390s? Now, I can't actually find any credible evidence of a Tiger Sport 1200 being in the pipeline, not even the name being registered, but Triumph, if you do make it with this spec and that price, I'll buy one. As you've probably guessed, this is an AI mock-up. Apologies for that. Nobody likes AI images, but that's all I've got. And it's the only one that I've used in this video. And finally to Yamaha with their MT-09 plug-in hybrid. Seems kind of funny saying that when talking about a bike, but I suppose it was only a matter of time before motorcycle manufacturers followed the lead taken by the car industry. Unveiled in April 2025 as a prototype, the Yamaha MT-09 PHEV looks destined for production now, combining the familiar 890cc CP3 triple with an electric motor and lithium battery in a chassis based on the standard MT-09. You get a few design tweaks, extra cooling, venting for the electric unit, a new dashboard display with extra elements to show things like battery level, of course. The bike will apparently be able to run in full petrol, full electric or a mixed mode. The battery is probably going to add around 13 kilos to the standard bike, so I reckon around 205 kilos with a price of around 14,500 euros. Yamaha's goal is clear though, and the final version should be ready for Eicma. So there you go, my top 20-ish new bikes for 2026. There will no doubt be many more coming out from manufacturers I haven't had time to cover. Let me know in the comments what you're most looking forward to seeing, or even what your dream combination of engine, chassis and style would be. And as always, thanks for watching.